Hi, thanks for joining us today. For the past 4 years, we have come together, not just to remember, but to speak the names of those that should never fade. For the past 4 years, our chapter has honored veterans who tragically took their lives to suicide. This year, we honor Corporal Desmond Baird, who tragically took his life on 14 October 2020. In years past, we rode in honor of Sergeant Austin Miller, Senior Airman Chad Shulock, and Sergeant Matthew Spangenberg. All warriors, all deeply loved, and all lost to the same silent struggle that claims far too many of our brothers and sisters each year. Every tear that's shed reflects the pain of the families, of friends, of communities left asking why. And that's why we ride today. We ride to break the silence, to carry the stories of those we've lost, not just as names etched in stone, but as voices we refuse to let go. Desmond, Austin, Chad, Matthew, your stories ride with us today. To Desmond's family, we ride with you today. To every veteran still fighting battles no one else can see, we see you. You are not alone. This ride is our promise to honor, to remember, and to act together as a community. Together, we ride. Together, we fight. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Like his passing still to this day shakes me to the core.
You know, my grief is minimal compared to my wife, you know, and having to see the hurt that she went through, kind of going through all of this is just, it's a lot. It cuts you really deep, you know, seeing your loved ones just fall apart, you know, and you don't know if they'll ever be able to be put back together, you know, and it's difficult.
I was so emotionally distraught. I just think I felt like I wasn't real to me. It didn't feel real to me for like the first year.
It broke me. I will never be that person before Desmond passed is gone. She's dead as well.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Cheyenne. I'm Desmond's mom.
What was Desmond like as a kid? What memories do you have of him being a child growing up?
Desmond was, from the get-go, a very good kid. Quiet. He slept through the night right off the bat. He was a very good baby. Just never really gave me any grief. I had Desmond very young. I was 16, 2 weeks after my 16th birthday, so I was a baby myself. But I think that made us pretty close. We basically grew up together. He taught me a lot. I hope I taught him some things, but he was a good kid, very shy. Very much family-oriented, always hanging out with his cousins and his aunts and uncles who were closer in his age, and he was a good kid.
Can you share a memory, maybe one of your fondest memories of him as a kid?
I think a tradition we'd always do for his birthday is he didn't like birthday cake, and in his early years, we would have his birthday and we'd sing happy birthday, and we'd always sneak behind him and smash his cake and his face in the cake. And I think that's why he didn't like birthday cake, is because he caught on to that. So we'd always get pies. He always wanted like a strawberry pie instead. But I think just his birthdays, we'd always do something special as as he got into like the middle school years, we'd take a day trip. He'd invite some friends and we'd go out to the Dells for the day and just kind of did a very routine. We went to the same restaurant, we went to the same places. So I think just making those routine memories and those childhood memories for him and with him.
You know, Desmond, as a kid was, you know, I mean, he's a fun kid. He's into his own kind of projects and stuff. My favorite things is whenever he would come up to me and ask me for help with anything. You know, one that kind of stands out is he decided that he was going to change the oil in his new car that he just bought. You know, at 16 years old, doesn't know anything about cars, and goes out there and starts draining the oil and comes back inside and says, hey Tony, can you come look at this with me? And go out there and look at it, and he actually drained the transmission fluid instead. So it was, you know, a learning experience, and we kind of sat there and we laid underneath his car and kind of looked at everything, and this is your drain plug for oil, and this is transmission fluid, and you know, he's just a good kid. He's receptive to everything, you know, and he'll listen and take in whatever you have to say, and it was just kind of a good moment that we had together. It's fun.
One of my favorite memories was when we went sledding at Fireman's Park, and I went off this big bump and I ended up on his sled behind him. He didn't even notice until we were down the hill. So that was my favorite memory of him.
Nice, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What made Desmond unique? What are some special qualities about him?
He was very nice, easygoing. He could just go with the flow. He didn't really let a lot of things get to him, in the sense, like, if his day didn't go as planned, it was just like, oh, okay. Like, whereas me, I wasn't like that, but I don't know. I just love that about him. I was just like, how could you just be so calm and chill? But yeah, that was my favorite trait of him.
What was he like in high school?
High school, he was a little bit more tough. He was a good kid. He still was very good, but he started to give me some challenges, like any teenager would, especially after his license. He got his license, and then it was like, oh God. But he was very involved in sports, track, swimming. I remember growing up, I'd always push him, like enroll him in baseball, basketball, football, and he never liked it. He'd be the kid out there where they'd throw him the ball and he's like, what do I do with it? Like, it wasn't his thing. And then he came home one day and he said, hey Mom, track starts tomorrow and I need everything for it. I'm like, what? He's like, I'm joining track and cross country. I'm like, okay. He's like, I need shoes, I need this, I need that. I'm like, could you give me a heads up? You know, but that was him. He was always last minute and kind of fly by the seat of his pants. But when he decided he wanted to do something, he went at it 110%. And same with swimming. That was never on my radar. I'm like, you never even had swim lessons. How are you gonna swim on the swim team? But he did it, and he did amazing at it.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Hallie Graham.
And how did you know Desmond?
My relationship to Desmond is I was his high school track and cross country coach.
Okay. So did you meet him when he was a freshman in high school?
It's every time kids ask, like, when we first met, I forget once they graduate, but yeah, I believe it was his freshman year that he first came out on the team.
Okay. What are some of your favorite memories of Desmond?
So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Desmond is his infectious smile. Like, instantly, that smile on his face, you could be having the worst day ever. He'd walk into the gym or outside for the start of practice and he'd have that huge smile on his face, and instantly it would change your mood. And that's like the thing that I always think about, especially with Desmond, is his infectious smile. He also, I would say he's kind of like every coach's dream. He was just came to practice every day with 110% attitude. We could be having a tough workout and he'd be the first kid on the team to say, okay, you guys, we got this. One more repeat or one more mile. And not just that, but he also, like, he'd finish the workout and he'd be there to help the rest of the kids get through their workout. And just such a great team player, such a great attitude. Another memory that I hold dear in my heart is the end of the season. We have the kids turn in their uniform. None of the girls wanted to run, so the boys are like, Miss Holly, just come run with us. And I'm like, how far are you guys going? And they told me, I'm like, okay, I was planning on doing about 6 or 7 miles that day. I'm like, okay, what's your pace going to be? They're like, well, promise we'll go at your pace. So we've got like maybe 1.5 miles to go, and I can hear a couple of them snickering. I'm like, okay, you guys, how fast are we actually running? And they told me, I'm like, I'll see you at the high school. Like, I am done. Like, you guys have pushed me to my limit. And Desmond was the first one to step up, and he kind of slid into next to me. And then next thing I know, another one did. And then they basically kind of all encircled me and were like, nope, you're finishing this run with us. And that was just a memory that not just him, but all of those guys that were on that run with me that day. Like, it's so cool to kind of see full circle. All season long, I had been supporting them with their goals and what they wanted for the season. And then in that run, they kind of came around and supported me. So,
What led him to joining the Marine Corps? Do you know what?
Probably me saying he should go to college. I think it was just, I think it was always in the back of his mind to do it. Just that camaraderie. He wanted to see the world. I always told him, like, go to college so you can, and go out of state so you can make friends. You'll make lifelong friends from all over the world, and get out of here, go do something, and be something big. And I think that was part of it. He wanted to see the world. He wanted to make a diverse group of friends. And then I think it was actually, he saw that he was hanging with a rough crowd. He saw that he wasn't going to really be doing much if he kept on this path. And he just suddenly dropped all his friends. He joined. I remember he came to me one day and he said, Mom, I'm applying for a job. I said, where are you applying? He's like, oh, it's nothing. He said, but they need my birth certificate and social security card. I'm like, no job needs that. Like, no. And he's like, that's what they said they need. I need it. Can you just give it to me? So I'm like, okay. So I gave it to him, and he came back that night and he says, Mom, I joined the Marine Corps. It was very bittersweet. Like, I was very proud of him to make that decision because it's what he needed to do at that time, but very terrifying as well.
Especially as a parent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other stories that you want to share about Desmond, what his character was like, what he was like?
Sure. My favorite Desmond story. My wife hates it when I tell this story, but my favorite Desmond story is one of the first times. It was after. Gosh, he just came back from boot camp, right? Just before boot camp, whatever. Him and I were just sitting down around our bar, actually at our old house, and just him and I, and we decided to have a few too many beers, and it became this game of, Desmond, I'll bet you $100 that you can't take a shot of all of these bottles of booze behind the bar. And as a 20-year-old kid, how do you pass a challenge like that? It seemed like a win-win to him, and he made it about halfway, which was really impressive, really impressive, farther than I could get. But then it went south, and he ended up kind of passing out, and his mom came down and got real mad at me for having this moment with him. And, he ended up puking and whatever. But it was a great time. It was one of the first times that it was really just me and Desmond talking, and really one-on-one.
Oh.
As much as my wife hates me for it, I'll never forget that.
That's awesome. When Desmond was facing difficult times, how did he like to be supported?
I honestly didn't know he was struggling at the time. I think that was like one cue maybe I took away from it, is that he didn't want a lot of people to know. I feel like if I didn't know, it kind of made him happier, because then it was less of a thing that he had to talk about. Maybe kept his mind off of it when we were together. So I did not know at the time.
Gotcha. What do you think might have helped him reach out more, or how do you think you could support somebody who was struggling like he was struggling?
I think if they just offered more resources. I know they have a lot of resources, but just for it being available. I know that a lot of people who try to get help, they can't get it right then and there. Like, they have to make appointments, and sometimes they're like months out. So just something that's like available all the time, and not only that, but like having that community and family support. I think what was really hard for him was all his family was in Wisconsin, and so I actually got to see Desmond about like 2-3 weeks before he took his life. And when I seen him, he was very happy, and I didn't notice at the time anything, and he never said anything. So I would think that just, well, he was very happy that I was there visiting him, and constantly smiling, we were laughing. And so I just think having that family or just that community support would have been very helpful and impactful if we were all able to be there in person with him.
Gotcha. So the distance was a big factor with him.
Yes.
How did you find out what happened?
I can remember. Sorry if I start crying. I can remember that exact moment. A friend of mine that I had made when I was a travel nurse in Oregon was actually coming in for a long weekend. So I was up kind of late waiting for her flight to get in. And I was scrolling through Facebook, and another kid that had, I believe Owen graduated with Desmond, he had posted on Facebook that he had passed away. And my heart sank. And I just, without knowing any of the details, I just had this gut feeling I knew why. And I reached out to this kid and said, hey, I just saw your post, what happened? And he told me, and I just remember hitting my kitchen floor sobbing. Sorry.
It's okay.
I've had my own struggles with depression, and I am a survivor of my own failed suicide attempt, so I had flashbacks of that. My brother is also a veteran, and he was pretty touch and go when he came back from Afghanistan. So having flashbacks of being in his living room floor, just crying with him. But my heart just sank. Like, if you would have lined up all the kids that I coached and asked me which one I thought would be the least likely to take their own life, Desmond probably would have been at the top of that list. And I remember then going onto his Facebook page and just scrolling through and seeing all the posts that people put on there and just about his time as a Marine. And I was just like, yep, that's Desmond. Like, that's who he was as an athlete. And it just, my heart broke for him. My heart broke for his family. But in a way, it also lit a fire in me to become more of an advocate for bringing awareness to veterans and the fact that so many of them do take their lives.
It broke me. I will never be that person before Desmond passed is gone. She's dead as well. I feel like I do a good job of putting on a front every day, just to make it through each day with my boys. But there's still not a day that goes by that I don't wish I could be with him. And in the beginning, it was really hard to fight those feelings. It was so hard. It wasn't a matter of if, it was always a matter of when for me. But as time has passed now, the hurt doesn't go away. It never goes away. In fact, it gets worse. You just learn how to live with it every day. And I'm here for a reason. And, you know, if I didn't have those boys, I wouldn't be here. I'm here for my kids that still need me. But still, I'll never be that person. And I miss her. I'll look at pictures a lot of times, and I'll look at the date, and I'm like, oh, that was before when I shouldn't have had a care in the world. You know, had I known what was coming, everything in my life revolves around that date. That was before Desmond. That was before he passed. That was happier times, and now everything is keeping his memory alive, and that's what helps me. I like to talk about it. I like to talk about him, and I know a lot of people tiptoe around it and they're scared to ask, or if I do talk about it, they're like skittish about hearing it, but let me talk about him. I love to share stories. I don't care if you've heard it 20 times. I want to talk about him.
Hit it hard, real hard. I remember that phone call, you know, like it was yesterday, and hearing my wife tell me that Desmond is gone, it was unbelievable at first, you know, like, no, that can't be true, you know, there's no way. And I think about that day a lot. Mostly, you know, my grief is minimal compared to my wife, you know, and having to see the hurt that she went through, kind of going through all of this, is just, it's a lot. It cuts you really deep, you know, seeing your loved ones just fall apart, you know, and you don't know if they'll ever be able to be put back together, you know, and it's difficult.
What would Desmond think about his story being used to help others right now?
I think Desmond would like it, you know. Again, he just wants to help people, and he just wanted to do what he can to put a smile on anybody's face, and anything he can to help you get through whatever you're going through. You know, it's a terrible thing that we're here having this discussion, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time. You know, it's how we bring awareness to these issues, and it's how we help people. You know, you can't help if you don't know if people are struggling, or you don't know what people are going through. And it helps just shed a light on it.
What gives you hope when you think about other veterans getting help for what they need for their struggles?
What gives me hope is decreasing the number of veterans or active military that take their life a day. That there's giving them the resources, connecting them to the right people, people that are in like situations, and just bringing light to their eyes again, bringing life back, and giving them purpose, and giving them something to look forward to, and knowing that they're not alone, and there's other people going through the same thing, and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay.
What can we do to help support families who are going through what you've gone through?
I think what you do is great already. Connecting families that are going through the same situations is tremendously helpful, because so-and-so can say, oh, my grandma passed away, or I know what you're going through, my dad passed away, and it's like, you have no idea, you know, when you lose someone as a mom, your child. So being around other families, that other parents that are going through the same thing, you're like, they get it, they understand. They're not saying time will heal, you know, like that has been said and whatnot, but you know, they understand it, and so you don't have to feel alone. I was supposed to do the Freedom Free Fall a couple weeks ago, and just being there and meeting people that are going through the same situation as me, you know, a sister and a dad, it was amazing, and we just clicked, and meeting these new support systems.